Hey everybody, John O'Connor here again, and welcome to After the Dice. So, before I get started, I want to address a couple things. I'm filming in my room today, so that's why you see a background of just sheetrock. The room's been under construction for quite a while now, long story. Also, I don't have central air and heat in my house, so I've had to turn off my AC to record the video to cut down on the background noise. So I'm going to try to do this one relatively quick. To my group, if you're going to watch this later, I'm sorry if I forget any detail of the story or, I miss out on one of the many jokes we tell during the night. With that being said, let's get right to it. This was the second week of the map maker actually getting to DM. And we actually had a little bit of drama before the game even started. Nicole's apartment's still being renovated. They're still working on that. So her primary location is still kind of off limits. Now, normally in this case, we would just go to the Girl Who Can Cry on Command's house, Carly, and play there for the night. Unfortunately, she's having a little bit of family issues going on right now, so we came to my house. Again, no central air or heat. So, 4 people crammed in my room, which I'll let you guys see, isn't bad. It's pretty roomy, actually. It's just, we had to move a lot of stuff. For example, like the bed. It's normally lengthwise, I put it horizontal, so we actually had more floor space. Trying to make sure the camera's not too shaky now that I've done that. So, we were all crammed in here. I showed you the floor space, but we actually had a table set up. And as I said before, my playing style and Jonathan's are different. I'm not saying one's better than the other. He has a far better grasp on the rules and mechanics of D&D than I'll ever have, and I can tell a narrative. To each their own. I mean, there are times he's called me out on the rules, there's times I've called him out on plot. Just the way we are. But the difference of style also includes, I'm theater of the mind, he's miniatures. Now, I'm always trash-talking miniatures, but I want to show you guys something. I own this. This is mine. Dual-sided, wet or dry erase, grid paper, or grid board. So when I trash talk miniatures, it's not from, well, I've never used them, I never need to. No, I used them, liked them for a while, and I just outgrew them. Miniatures. These are mine. They belong to me. I just normally don't have them on hand. You're looking at hundreds of dollars for toys. So, I know what I'm talking about when I say I'm not a fan of miniatures. I don't paint them, I don't make them, these were all the pre-made ones. Each one of them, back when they were still selling the D&D, I don't have any Pathfinder miniatures, mine are all Dungeons & Dragons. I was actually buying the $20 randomized boxes and actually getting out pretty lucky. Those are just my mediums. My large and huges are at the apartment that's being worked on, and Jonathan actually owns the Orcus miniature. And my complaint about the Orcus miniature is for $70, I kind of want it to be a little posable, not just a huge chunk of plastic. It's a beautiful chunk of plastic, but you want your toys to have opposable joints. Just something out there. Alright, so, everyone gathered here, we had to have our second night, and it was fun. It was really enjoyable because for the first time in quite a long while, I got to play a character. And my friends were kind of nice enough that at the beginning of the session, I hogged a lot of the spotlight. And toward the end, I really backed up, and I was asking things like, well, I'm going to do this unless somebody else has a better idea, or I would take, if I wasn't taking point, I would take up the rear. You know, I wanted to give my friends moments to shine. I didn't want it to be just about me, 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 me. But at the beginning of the night, there were things that I would see something like, well, can I do this? Can I do that? A great example of that is we're playing the City of Underdark pre-made campaign, and there's a scene where there's these 2 mausoleums and a 3rd building carved into the side of a mountain. Well, we explore the 2 mausoleums, nothing really in them. There were some vampires, and that was a chore fighting them. Luckily, I had brought holy water, and the boss, who had the ability to turn invisible, once he reconstituted after his gaseous form being defeated, I threw his ass in the sun. Jonathan had told us, well, it's about 4 in the afternoon. I was like, ass outside. I wish I'd bought some marshmallows. So, we get inside we defeated those 2 vampires in the 2 mausoleums. We come up to the doors. I took my trusty sledgehammer out of my bag of holding. Boom! Rolled my strength check. He's like, the doors kind of wobble, but they don't do very much. Boom! Well, they wobble a little bit more. And I was like, well, obviously, you can't get in this way. So we went back, checked the 2 mausoleums. I was like, wow, there's not a secret passage. What the hell are we supposed to do? I looked down at my character sheet and I'm like, wait a minute. I have knowledge engineering. And he was like, yeah, so I start describing, I'm like, I want to take my iron spikes, which are 6 to 8 inches long, made of solid iron, and I want to drive them through the door in a kind of pentagram fashion, so then when I hit it with the sledgehammer, the circle I've carved out will kind of just weaken, and I'll have created a crawl space to get through. He's like, alright, you do that, and I described the scene and how I'm doing it, and Nicole and Carly are kind of just laughing, and okay, well that's what John's doing. I break down through the circle, get through it, and he's like, well, congratulations, you get through it. He tells me what I see. There's not much around. As we walk a little further down the hall, he's like, by the way, if you would just hit it with the sledgehammer one more time, you would have broken the doors open. They were already giving, but you just didn't have high enough strength DC to do it in one go. I was like, shut up, I did something inventive. I was really proud of myself. So we start exploring through the tombs, and this 3rd building is a mausoleum, but it leads into a cave setting. But before you get to the cave setting, we came across this one room that had a giant stone statue. And the way that we came across it was, I bought a lot of stupid shit, like a listening cone. And I was going through the doors doing the listening cone, and Nicole was like, well, I want my character to have some limelight, I want them to have some things. She's like, well, I take the listening cone out of your hand. I'm like, okay. And I backed my character up, and I was like, I let her take lead. He has some comments to say, but I mean, like, as the player, I'm letting the other player get their time in the spotlight. I'm letting them describe their scene. And she talks about how carefully she puts the cone on the door, how she listens for any discrete sounds, and then rolls her listen check. She rolls her listen check, and right as soon as she rolls it, John's like, well, pick up the dice again. And she's like, why? And he's like, well, just pick it up. So she picks it up, and Jonathan just smiles and says, now make me a fortitude save. What? He's like, yeah, make me a fortitude save. So she has to make a fortitude save. Luckily, she made it. She took some damage, but the door was booby-trapped. So now everybody's on high alert. We're like, okay, what the hell was that? We open the door, there's a giant statue, and we don't trust this room now. We're like, okay. Simultaneously, me and Nicole say, our characters, because I was pulling it at my character, and at the same time she's like, my character. So we both said, at the same time, my character pulls out a red rubber ball I'm pulling mine from my bag of holding. She's pulling hers out of a satchel. And she's like, I throw it at the statue. Boom, 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 boom. So it bounces off the statue, nothing happens. I was like, no, I don't trust this room. There's something not right. Roll mine across the floor. Nothing happens. We're like, okay, well, guess the room isn't trapped. And after the first booby trap, she's like, no. My Ronin makes your samurai go in. So Jarek, my character, is walking in. He's like, well, I mean, the room isn't trapped. Mind you, our party dynamic, if I haven't said it this video, I said it last video. Our party dynamic is, she is a Ronin with a couple levels of fighter. I am a full-blooded samurai, or I'm a samurai and a knight. I have 5 levels of knight and 3 levels of samurai on top of my Yanti build. And Carly is the healer. Well, it's a combat-heavy campaign, so small problem there. Carly isn't seeing a lot of action because she's not thinking to describe scenes, because she knows with her frail constitution and low hit points, if I go too far ahead, boom, I'm dead. So she's kind of just waiting it out in the back. Now during combat, she's shining like a pro because she has a lot of defensive spells. She's keeping us safe, and she's taking the time to describe it. But right now, she just kind of has to wait in the back. Well, Nicole makes my character walk in. I do. And as soon as I walk in, this ghastly voice says, you need to leave. Well, it turns out it was the guardian of this particular temple or mausoleum or whatever it was. You know, it was the dead person. And so it was an incorporeal spirit trapped in an animated construct. And it was this weird dynamic, and it was, okay, this is kind of hard to fight. Well, my character's first reaction is, what happens if we don't leave? So the thing gets off its platform and starts walking toward me. I ask the DM, how much time do I have? Well, you have about a round and a half before it's right on top of you. Okay, well this is what I do. And I describe, again, taking something out of my bag. I have a bag of marbles. Take them out, and I bought 1,200 marbles. So I have a rather large satchel of them. And I throw them across the floor. The stone statue starts stepping on them, and they're just turning to dust. And Nicole's character's yelling, what the hell did you think that was going to accomplish? Shut up. I thought it was a good idea. So, glass marbles under a stone statue's foot that's probably equivalent to 3 tons. Not the smartest idea I've had in a while. But with some struggle, with a tremendous amount of struggle, we take down this thing. Once we destroyed its construct form, it had another ethereal form. That was considerably harder to fight. We took it down, and then I was talking about, well, I'm gathering up my marbles, and I said, well, then I have a little satchel that was empty. I'm like, I'm gathering up some of this dust. Because during the vampire battle, we really could have used glitter dust or something, and we just didn't have anything. So we had an invisible enemy we're trying to fight, and it's kicking our ass. So, in-game, the Ronin asks my character, are you making impromptu glitter dust? You better believe it. Tying my little satchel up, putting it on the side. We went a little further. We didn't get much further than that in this story, because we were actually taking a lot of time describing our scenes out and what we were doing. But we fought 2 drow and a spider. Now, my character is the only character that speaks Undercommon. And all the drow we've come across so far have been very... I don't know what the appropriate word is here. They're very condescending. And then they find out you speak their language, and then they're even more so. Well, my character being a knight, and I have the ability to issue knight's challenges, I'm just as condescending. But the fun part about it is that the girls have to play dumb, because I'm yelling at Nianti. And they're like, whatever he's saying, it can't be good. I don't know, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. No, it just cannot be good. So as a team, we take down these 2 drow and this giant spider. It was probably the size of a horse. And we're like, wow, that was kind of hard. We ended the night there, which was because it was just, we kind of got a light start. We had a couple interruptions, and, you know, we took the time to actually describe our scenes. We're actually having a good time, you know, telling a story. Something I've always encouraged my players to do. Now they get to see me do it, so they're amping up their storytelling abilities tenfold right now. I hope it carries over. But the cool thing about this was, because it was at my house, I didn't have to drive anywhere. I didn't have to do anything. So afterwards, the DM says, hey man, can I hang out here at your house for a while? I was like, oh hell yeah. So for the first time in quite a long while, me and Jonathan just got to hang out and bullshit for a while. And we talked about different D&D ideas, we talked about different character designs. You know, it was just quite a few hours, because we ended like at 2, no, we ended at 1:30. And he stayed here till 4:30, and we were just bullshitting. You know, it's early in the morning, we're just having these conversations about silly things. During that conversation, we actually discussed my last video I did, the Build a Better Whorehouse. We had that conversation, and we were kind of just talking about things, and that's where the conversation about the front of the house, the back of the house, the accountant, you know, he said, well, if you're going to make that a video, you need to really emphasize the muscle. And I was like, well, yeah, shit, I should. So what it turned out kind of as just wouldn't it be funny, turned into that video because, you know, we took the time as gamers and, you know, DMs, well, if we were going to put this in our story, or if we're going to make it better for our stories, how do we go about doing that? So it was really fun to actually just get to hang out with my friends. You know, we, after the girls left because they had to get back to Carly's house at a certain hour, it was fun just sitting down, talking, and me and Jonathan have actually been knowing each other for probably 3 years, and we've been gaming together just as long. So it's nice when you get that opportunity to just sit and reminisce, go back through old character ideas and go, well, this sucked. Well, how could we make it better? What could we have done? And, you know, there's some light sketches, there's some, you know, I've got a handful of notes from just things we were talking about, because at 4:30 in the morning, everything sounds like a good idea or a better way of doing something we've already done. And then when you kind of wake up, you go over things, that was dumb, that was silly, that was funny, and what was left over was the Build a Better Whorehouse. So that's why I made that video. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But overall, it was a nice experience. I'm really enjoying my time as a player again. I know I'm only going to get to do it for so long before the group wants me to DM again. I'm actually trying to convince Nicole, like, come on, you could run a story. We could have fun. We can limit, you know, the rules. She's not having it. I'm like, you have the potential to be God. She's like, yeah, but I have more fun as a player. I'm like, oh. So that's what happened this last Thursday at D&D. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, have a great day.